Hare Krishna, this is Krishnendu Das back here again with my son. Introduce yourself. What's your name, buddy?
Janatai.
Say it again.
Janatai.
And what does your name mean?
Nityananda.
Yeah, it means all glories to the Lord Nityananda, the one who's always happy. Cool. So today I'd like to just talk, as you may have seen in the heading there, time to take out the popcorn. Going to talk about a movie. Yeah, movies. Okay, so watching movies is not really the best idea most of the time. In fact, even worse is watching TV. Why is TV worse than watching movies? Well, when you're watching TV, you watch what the people that are designing the programs want you to see. And whatever they put in front of you, you watch it. Whereas something like YouTube is something where you can decide exactly what you want to watch. So there is a difference there. And also even some movies, like, you know, I have to admit that in the past I've watched a bunch of movies, and some of them are just pathetic and useless. So I really got out of the habit. I can't even remember the last time I watched a movie. It was quite a long time ago. But this particular movie, I came across the trailer. Try not to bump it there. I came across a trailer on YouTube and I thought, oh, this looks kind of interesting. It looks like there could be a spiritual angle to this. It just reminds me how devotees would never ever watch movies. And then when The Matrix came out, it was like, hey, The Matrix, this is like a spiritual movie. All devotees should watch it, right? And I guess it can be like a slippery slope, you know, from then onwards. From then onwards, the devotees started watching kind of more and more movies and so on. Anyway, my point is not to really discuss that today, although that is an important topic. But I think that sometimes, you know, because there is an attraction to hearing stories and things, Prabhupada talks about how in the traditional times the children would listen to stories at night. What would those stories be about, Janatai? What are we hearing about at the moment? Ram, yeah. Is it a good book?
Me?
Yeah, so we're in our family listening or reading from the Ramayana book that Vrinda Sethi has, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, has written. Why don't you go grab that book and show it in front of the camera? And I've been really loving it. I've been involved in Krishna consciousness for many years and never really remembered a lot of the details from Ramayana. But this book, the way it's written is so interesting, you just can't wait to read the next page. And I've been reading it, here it comes, I've been reading it to the boys at night, every night, this book here. It's a really awesome book. It looks like it's part one, I think, of 3. And I've also heard that she's written another book, which is the story of Lord Ram from the perspective of Sita, which sounds really cool too. So as soon as we've finished with this one, we'll see if we can get our hands on that. And that new book that she's written, apparently it's won an award in America for being an awesome book, which doesn't surprise me at all. So anyhow, in traditional society in India, the children would listen to these stories about Ram and Lakshman and Ravana and Manthara and all of these different personalities in the Ramayana, and naturally there's so many good values that can be learnt from these stories. We were discussing in that book, why was Manthara so mean to Lord Ram? Why did she hate Ram so much? So we had a lot of these interesting discussions when we were reading this book, and also just the way it describes about how the queen, the youngest queen and the oldest queen, how the king related to them differently, and why did he favour Kaikeyi? Because she saved his life, and things like that. You're on camera, buddy. Did you forget that? Yeah, you forgot, didn't you? Yeah. So anyway, in this Ramayana, there's so many things that you can discuss and so many values about how we can live our life and how we can be Krishna conscious, and even on a basic level of human values and personal development, there's so many things that you can bring out of it. So naturally, the best movies and books of the modern times have based themselves on these great epics like Ramayana. You know, for example, Star Wars is a very popular series because you like Star Wars, eh? Yes, Star Wars is a very popular movie, and I'm not suggesting that devotees or anyone has to watch Star Wars just to get the messages, but if you are going to watch any movies, look at it through the eyes of, you know, Prabhupada's books and his teachings, and it can really give you a interesting perspective. You know, like on Star Wars, the first, the three, they call them the prequel episodes, really talk about how Anakin Skywalker fell from being, you know, a great Jedi, how he fell down to the dark side. And it's really the Bhagavad Gita in action, you know, describing how first comes attachment and frustration and fear and anger, and how it leads down the path to the dark side.
Of the Force.
Yeah. So sometimes there's movies that we can watch, you know, like devotees really, you know, hooked onto the Matrix back in the day, because it was presenting some elements that connect with Krishna consciousness. So I don't have too much time today. We're just about to head out to a program. Say goodbye.
Bye.
We're just about to head out to a program where we are studying nectar instruction. But in the meantime, I just wanted to talk about this one movie which I've written there called Before I Fall. It's a 2017 movie, so it's fairly recent. And, you know, at first glance it might look like, one of those teenage high school movies, you know, like the old, what's the guy's name? You know, the Molly Ringwald movies. I forget the guy that wrote the whole series of those movies. And you might just sort of think, whatever. But what attracted me by watching the trailer is it was showing in a gist what the story's about. Don't worry, there's no spoiler alert, so if you really like watching movies and you want to see it, you can still do it. I won't ruin it for you. Basically the gist is that this girl is going through her day. It's a Friday. And, you know, she wakes up, she goes to school, she goes through the motions at school, then comes home and they have a party. When she's driving home from the party, there's a car accident that she's in. But then all of a sudden she wakes up and she looks at her phone and it's still Friday. And she relived that Friday over and over again. There's another movie called Groundhog Day, which is, you know, I believe it's a similar concept, but I haven't watched that one. So yeah, the gist of the story is how this girl relives that day, and each time she lives it, according to the actions that she takes, there's a different outcome. And essentially the idea of it is that, you know, she has to keep reliving this day until she sort of fulfills her purpose and you know, overcomes the bad things and the weaknesses or whatever, you know, until she really develops herself personally. So that's the kind of the gist of it. But so from that point of view, I thought, that's kind of interesting. It's not really what's it called, theistic movie. It doesn't talk about God, but it does give a good lesson in terms of how, you know, the idea of reincarnation. You know, we have so many lives, and the idea is that we have lessons that we're supposed to learn. And so in this story, she tries different things to solve her problems that came up during that movie. And you can see she tried one way, it didn't work. She tried another way, it didn't work. And so she keeps on trying different things, so that until finally, you know, she, you know, things work out in an interesting way. Now, it's a good movie in the sense that there was a few surprises and how things connected up in a very interesting way. Just a second, be there in a minute. Yeah, how things really connected up, like certain things that were mentioned at one stage, you don't really think much of it, but later on in the movie you think, oh wow, that's cool how that connected. You know, so from that point of view, it's quite an interesting movie. But some of the values that come out of it, I thought were good. Values like, when things are not going well, when things are not being done right, for example, bullying, are we just going to stand by and watch it happen, or are we going to do something about it? You know, that was one of the really big themes that came out of the came out of the movie, and just generally the idea of caring for people, having compassion, and coming from a place of love. So so that's the gist of the movie. And just going back to that point about bullying and not standing by when things are going wrong, on Guru Opening morning I had a dream that was very similar, where I saw one young devotee was being mistreated in a really horrible way. It was a nightmare I was having. And everyone was standing around and watching it like there's no big deal. And so that was just a lesson, one of the lessons I got from this movie that reminded me of that dream. My wife Nakunji actually reminded me that was the same concept that I'd seen in that dream. That if something's not right around you, do something about it. Don't just go with the flow just because everybody's doing it. So yeah, that was just one of the messages. So I think it's a good movie if you've got young people that just want to watch movies. I would recommend probably it's only suitable at least for 13 and up, probably more like 16, because it does have some of the elements of high school with parties and a little bit of swearing, not all that much. But I think it would be more understandable for kids about 16. And you could watch this movie and discuss the consequences of the different actions that this girl took, because I think it really reinforces our Krishna conscious values. So yeah, if you're inclined to watch movies and you find that you often watch them, they're not very satisfying, hey, this could be a good one to watch. If you're not a movie watcher, probably not worth watching. Because of these points. Rather stick to Prabhupada's books, or Ramayana.
Hello.
Once again, another plug for this book.
Hello.
This is such a really awesome version of Ramayana. And I think, we should focus on those more. But if you are inclined to watch movies, this is one worth watching. And if you look at it from the perspective of the values that are coming through and reflecting on our lives and things that happen in our lives and how we can improve the way we live, I think there's some good messages in there. All right, so I'll sign off here. Enough about these, calming movies. Time to go and study Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction with some really great devotees. So we'll sign off now.
Going to the temple. Now we go.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So it's goodbye from me and good night from her. So good night.
Good night.
Haribol.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Hello.
So thanks for tuning in, and leave any comments if you found anything interesting in this.
Hello.
Hey, Haribol. Hare Krishna, go.
Hare Krishna.